Fuck it, we'll do it live. Kocosports.com is proud to present Wrestle AM. That's right, it's half wrestling show, half morning show, pretty much all BS. And you got the Coco crew here holding it down live. Now, first you got me, the sexiest man on all Internet Wrestling Radio. That's right, boom, boom, here, shaking the room, live from beautiful Omaha, Nebraska. And of course, not joining me tonight, conspicuous by his absence, is Dave Kokotis. For those of you wondering where Dave Kokotis is, well, it's kind of a long story, but let me sum it up for you, and this is all 100% factual. Dave Kokotis can't do the show because he's nude right now. See, it's a funny story. He was at home in Japan, you know, his wife, his kids, everybody left it, so he's all alone, so he had some me time. So he decided to start masturbating to The Purge. So he was sitting there watching it going, oh my God, total anarchy. Murder's legal. If that was only true, I'd murder every banker, every politician, every corporate CEO. And at the same time when that was happening, this burglar got in through his window and he saw these big cardboard boxes. And he's like, oh shit, the burglar's like, this has got to be electronic equipment. These things are huge. So he reaches in there, he snatches these cardboard boxes, but little did he know, those were the boxes that holds Dave's 100 pairs of sweatpants that he orders from China for like $1.50. Totally true. And now he's nude right now. He's waiting on this old last pair that he had had watered up down by his ankles. That's getting washed right now, and so why that happens, he can't do the show. But in the meantime, I got handsome Martin Dunn here filling in for Dave Kokotis. Martin, it is good to see you again.
Hey man, how are you doing?
Oh, doing just fine. Now, I checked out Raw here. They're rocking Canada, man. They decided to go to Canada, and I don't know about that. You know, you go to Quebec. Let me tell you something. I do not trust people who call ham bacon. There's just something about that. I don't trust those kind of people. I think they're secretly plotting to invade, because if you listen quietly at night, it's gotten a little bit louder now that I've moved from the Deep South to the Midwest. You can hear it a little bit more clearly here. You can hear them at night just sharpening those skates. They're plotting their little invasion. Come December, man, we're going to be fucking overrun, man. I promise you. That's what's going to happen. But in the meantime, Raw, we just wrapped up here. We've had a little difficulties, but we're back on the road here. They went live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And want to know, first of all, win, loss, or tie? Please put your comments down here. What did you think? Win, loss, or tie? Put it down here in the comments. Martin, let's start off with you, sir. What did you think? Did you think Raw tonight was a win, a loss, or a tie?
I think it was a loss, man. I didn't enjoy it at all. I think the only thing that I really cared about was Ambrose and Chris Jericho tonight. That was about it.
Awesome.
Like,
me, I'm going to give it a weak win. I'm not going to say it was a solid, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened, or no, my God, this kind of sucked. No, I think it's somewhere in the middle. It's bordering in territory of, I'm going to give it a weak win. I do think it was a decent follow-up. Now, last week, and for those of you who watched the show, you know that, last week it was just like, where the fuck was this promotion? Who the fuck are these people? They're promoting shit. What the hell? To me, it's like WWE. I don't know who's in charge of it, but whoever it was, give them a fucking raise. They threw down the gauntlet right there. Creative just fucking threw it down, and they said, okay, we're going to hit the reset button. We're going to charge full steam ahead into SummerSlam. And I felt like after making a statement like they made last week, they really, really, really needed to follow up. So this Raw, I felt like was very critical. It was critical because it's either, okay, that was just a one-time off, it was a fluke, whatever, we're going to go back to the same old, or, they're going to try to follow it up, which is going to be hard. And they didn't top it, which, to be honest, how are you going to top 3 people coming back? How are you going to, top that? And, and how are you going to, top, setting up this main event here? So they didn't, but I thought it was a decent follow-up. It was a step in the right direction. Not completely awesome, but still a good place to go. So I'm going to give it, like I said, I'm going to give it a weak win, but let's get ready to break it down. Now, Martin, real quick here, you Jersey Devil, do you really think, this, going into it, did you have any expectations going into this show after seeing last week?
I really didn't. Like, my son, he keeps me up to date on a lot of it, and he's like in love with it. And basically, I usually watch it the day after on Hulu. And tonight we happened to catch it, And I mean, honestly, like it was one of those things where I had to make myself sit down a few times because I told Dave I'd do the show tonight just to actually like keep up with it because it was just losing me. I don't know. I think that like what drives me crazy about the way that they book these shows is the stop and go. Like it's like we get a really good momentum going and everyone's super excited, and then they just stop you. Like just okay, we're done. And like you said, like last week, you have a really high show, and then this week it just kind of felt like you just deflated. Like even things like the Bret Hart thing, I just felt like that was it just felt forced. Like oh, let's throw Bret Hart out there because we're in Montreal. Like what purpose did that serve?
All right. I mean, I see what you're saying here. Let's kind of take. I'm going to kind of take a look at everything here. Let's see. They started out the show here, and please let us know what you think about the show. We're going to be reading your comments and your questions as the show goes on. Just put it down here in the comments. Let's see here. We started it out with let's see, the Authority taking the night off, which to me I was like, well. I think it was a plus because it took the focus off Triple H. It took the focus off Stephanie McMahon, and it kind of let I think like people like Kane, people like Seth Rollins and Randy Orton kind of like let them stand out because there was no supervision of them. There was nobody there to keep them in line. It kind of showed some of those egos right there, which totally made sense in my opinion from a character standpoint. Let's see here. Rollins came out to the ring, and they did something that was kind of funny. They did something different, where what am I looking for? This is kind of a cheap trick. It's been done on the indies. I know Dave Kokotis has told me a story where the Nasty Boys were in this show, and it was this promotion. I think they were running the show, and they told everybody, don't cuss. You can say really whatever you want, just don't cuss. And so everybody was like, oh, okay, I can understand that. But when the Nasty Boys went out there, hey, we're out here in Tampa fucking Bay. How the fuck are you? People are like, oh my God, and I bring that up because you saw Roman Reigns called Kane and said, oh, you're no longer the devil's favorite demon. You're now Triple H's lapdog. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're just Randy Orton's bitch. And that way you kind of get that shock. To me, let me ask you this, Martin. Is this just like a little cheap way to get people, to get somebody over, they're trying to push as their number one star? Or do you think it's maybe WWE's getting a little bit more lax on that PG?
I think the PG era is I don't want to say dying or going away as much as I think we're like slowly reaching the pinnacle where a lot of their fans are getting older. The PG stuff worked for like I said, I always go back to my son because he watches it so much more than I do these days. But my son's 11 now, and I remember back when he was 7 watching it. The PG stuff, he loved it, and now he's gotten to where he's kind of starting to get bored with some of the stuff they do, and he talks about how they did this already and things like that when he talks to me and fills me in on what's going on. And I kind of feel like maybe they're necessarily like getting rid of it as much as evolving it, maybe bringing it up a couple of years and I don't want to say heading like to a maybe going PG-13. Just adding some blood, adding some curse words, adding some more edge to it, but not quite breaking into like the Attitude Era where it was just like insane.
Okay, I see what you're saying there. Well, anyway, they had a brawl between Roman Reigns and Kane. It was broken up by Finlay and Jamie Noble. Good to see them again. And to his credit, Finlay took a spear, and
Right.
Damn, it looked vicious. So good to see that. They decided to, plus WWE also mentioned that they're going to be giving a free preview of the WWE Network this week. No credit card, no strings attached, quote unquote. Just send them your email. They'll send you some kind of confirmation code, and you can watch it. So, Martin, real quick, and I'm going to ask the Internet Infantry this too. Are you guys going to take advantage of this offer? Because I'm seriously considering it. Because with no credit card, that really works out for me. Because a lot of how these systems work is, yeah, it is free for a week or a month or whatever they give you. But what happens is you have to enter in some kind of credit card number, and you set things up. And you have to jump through hoops to cancel it once that trial period's over, and then before you know it or before you can cancel it, boom, they've already charged your credit card.
I've
So
already
I
got
kind
the
of like
network.
that.
I already got the network anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal to me, I guess. You know, Mike's son watches the network like constantly, so like it pays for itself for me. I kind of wanted to catch that Monday Night Raw thing or the Monday Night Wars thing when I get a chance, but I don't know. My thing is, I saw this thing today about Vince like trying to cut back like $20 million in the company, and I'm really curious of where that goes. Like, if I think a lot of it could go in production. I mean, they do a lot of like a little, you know, over the top, exorbitant spending. I feel on just set pieces alone
That's
and every.
one of the cuts that they just recently announced. They're no longer going to be doing the pre and post shows in whatever town they're in. They're going to keep those guys in Stanford, and they're going to be doing all that from WWE HQ.
Right. Yeah, I think the production costs could come down on some of the stuff. I mean, obviously the value doesn't have to be affected by that, but just you don't need, you know, ridiculous things. Like some of the times I've seen stuff they've used, and I'm just always confused. As like, oh, that looks like something that's going to get used in this match, but it never happens. I don't know. Like I guess, like I said, I think the network. I really thought the network would be something that would explode, and apparently it's not doing that great. So maybe they need to do a free week. I think they should do a free month.
All right. Oh, by the way, I've just been corrected by Yakuza's. He said 4 people came back last week, not 3. He says, I think you're forgetting Kali, which is understandable. Thank you, Yakuza's. I apologize. Yes, Kali is very, very forgettable. Dear God, have mercy on all our souls. Well, let's really quickly get into the Raw here. Now, they started it out here with, hey, kids, you remember that time that the Usos took on the Wyatt family? You remember how you liked that? Well, we're going to see it for the 4th time. Seriously, I really wish this feud would go away or they actually fucking do something with this. The match itself wasn't bad. I'm just tired of seeing the same people, you know, every week. And you got commentary trying to sell it. I mean, you have to be doing this stuff a different way. I know they're in a series right now. They're like a little series of matches. They're in a big feud here. They're going to, you know, build this up. But the Usos and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan have fought each other. Okay, they were started feuding when the Usos teamed up with Cena to even the odds against the Wyatt family. You know, up into not eliminate. It was after Elimination Chamber. It was Extreme Rules. Then, you know, they still feuded. Then, let's see, a couple of weeks ago it was the week before Money in the Bank. Each guy fought each other in a singles match. Then they wrestled at the pay-per-view. The Usos went over. Then they wrestled the next night on Monday Night Raw. And then now they've wrestled again. So that's 4 times within the past, like, 2-3 weeks, which is, I think, way too much. Either they need to do something. But I think the dumbest thing happened was great match. I mean, I shouldn't forget that. I mean, that was a good match. There was a lot of hot tags, a lot of high flying. These guys try to bring a little something different to the table every time that they fight, which really helps. It keeps me interested because normally I'm just like, okay, I've seen these guys wrestle before. Okay, I'm gonna watch it now. And okay, I'm glad I watched this. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff, a lot of good offense, a lot of close calls, a lot of false finishes. Had the crowd convinced at several points that the Usos were going to win. Eventually, the Wyatts get the win. But here's the dumbest fucking thing. And I'm really starting to hate the fucking announce team because they said the dumbest thing. Well, this has got to put them in line for a number one contenders to be the number one contenders for the tag team titles. No, really, I would have said that last week when the fucking Wyatts beat them there. You act like this shit's never happened. Do you watch your fucking product? They won last week, not like a month ago, last week.
My thing with the Wyatts and the Usos thing, my thing with the Wyatts and the Usos thing is this. Like you said, mix it up. There's 4 guys there. There's no reason you can't be doing, you know, singles matches amongst the team. There's no reason you can't, you know, do more gimmicky stuff. I mean, what are the Wyatts even doing right now? Like, I feel like I literally feel like John Cena killed all of Bray Wyatt's momentum, and it's it's staggering to see that. Just like at Money in the Bank, I want to point out something else. I'm not trying to go into a John Cena hate-fueled rant or anything, but I'd opted out of doing the show with Dave that night because I was like, all I'm going to do is bitch about it. I forgot John Cena was in the main event. My son forgot John Cena was in the main event. When he climbed the ladder and grabbed the briefcases, we both were very confused as to why the hell he was in the ring in the first place. And then we remembered he was in the main event. And if it was me, like you could have spun that a million different ways. I would have rather had Randy Orton again, and that says something because I can't stand Randy Orton. But I feel like that kills so many things, and like I don't understand what's going on sometimes because it's just like I feel like they hate money. Like I feel like the WWE doesn't like money. Like they don't like money. And when it comes to some of these angles, it's the same match every week, same promo every week, same thing every week, and nothing happens of it. Like honestly, what came of the Bray Wyatt John Cena match? Like what came of that? The big blowout. What came of it? Nothing. We never saw the monster that was supposed to be John Cena. We never saw Bray Wyatt elevate to a new level and challenge for, a bigger contender. And I think Jericho is the right guy for him to be feuding with. I agree with that. But I feel like a lot of that momentum is just gone. And so with the Wyatts, I think that they're just stuck in a loop. Like, they're wrestling the Usos again, like you said. Why? They want the tag titles? It doesn't even fit the characters. Like, why the hell do they care about belts? They don't care about belts. Just, I don't know. Like, to me, it's stupid. There's plenty of other people to be mixing it up with in there.
All right. Speaking of the Bellas, that was the next quote-unquote match. You had Nikki Bella versus Alicia Fox. Now, they did announce that it was per the authority that both divas were going to wrestle each other with one hand tied behind their back. So Nikki, obviously being the face, complies. Alicia Fox kind of, bucks with the referee. No, this hand, no, this hand, no, this hand. Oh, I'm getting you here. And then just went over there and just beat the shit out of Nikki Bella. Dumped some refreshments on her. Kicked her. I mean, she did a really good job. Either she really kicked Nikki Bella in the face or Nikki sold it like hell because there was a point where I think it looked like she legitimately kicked her right in the damn face. To me, this wound up being a no contest that really never got started. To me, I think the segment went on way too long. I like the build up to it. I like how it came off, but I think it's just like they should have stopped after she kicked her in the face and dumped like the sodas or energy drink, whatever it was she poured on her. That should have been it. She should have walked away, whatever. I know they're teasing Bree's return, and I've got, there's several scenarios I can picture that happening under. I can picture Bree running in to save her sister and attacking Stephanie McMahon and be like, you know what, you can't put your hands on me. I don't work for you anymore. I don't have to do what you say. And then you're like, you know what, if you want me in the ring with you in a sanctioned match, you're going to have to rehire me, you have to give me more money, and you have to make sure you have to guarantee that my husband gets a guaranteed shot at the title when he returns. Play with it like that. But to me, it's like the segment was okay, and then they just took it too far. But that's just what I'm thinking. What were you thinking on that one?
I don't know, man. Like, I can't get into anything that the Divas are doing anymore. There's a couple that actually feel like they know how to do anything, and the rest of them just kind of bore me. The whole arm tied behind the back gimmick, been done a million fucking times. Like, I get so frustrated with, like I said, like the way that they're doing. Like, once again, like, what's the end game on that? Like, we get the Bellas back together, and then the same thing happens with AJ Lee right now. You're gonna end up with Daniel Bryan chance instead of CM Punk chance. I don't get where they're going with it. Like, I guess maybe I'm just a horrible misogynist because I don't care about women's wrestling, but I don't care about women's wrestling.
Yes, somehow I would like to have a match with me and Alicia Fox in a rope and some tying up, but it has nothing to actually do with wrestling, but that's a different story for a different day, kids. Just saying. Next here we had Rob Van Dam versus Rusev. Now, some people kind of crapped on this. They were saying that, you've been building up Rob Van Dam. He's been doing better works this time around since he's come back. Why would you just waste him by feeding him to Rusev? And I was like, I kind of like that. I kind of like that they're stepping up the competition, that they're making Rusev seem like a bigger deal, and they've got confidence in Van Dam to have a good match with him. I said, why not, just, have him win squash matches, have it, just build him up as this big monster. And Dave criticized me, and he said, well, that's been done a lot. It's been done too much. It's been done with everybody. It was done with Kane when he first came in. It was done with Goldberg. I think they even did it with Brodus Clay a little bit. When he first came.
They've done it with a lot of guys. I
They've
see.
done,
You know what's funny about the Rusev RVD match? Two things. One, I like that the Rusev went over so strong, only because they're trying to push him as this bad heel. And the reason I say that is because beating someone like Rob Van Dam with that caliber, and beating a few more championship caliber guys, that means that he's a formidable foe for someone bigger. This is what I'm confused with Rob Van Dam. Why'd they bring him back? And not because I think he sucks. I love Rob Van Dam. Like, in the past, he was like a god to me. But truthfully, like, they're not, like, he just feels like he comes in and loses. Like, I don't think I've seen him win a match yet.
Well, I think it's because, he's got this special thing in his contract where he works 90 days and then he's off 90 days. He works 90 days, then he's off 90 days. And this last time he worked his 90 days, he left, but they kept him out. So they, kept him over that 90-day period he was supposed to be out, and now they brought him back. And I guess it's one of those, he's firmly established in his career, and if they're going to pay him that kind of money, why not put some other people over? Why not, have him there to, to be like some of that glue that holds good matches together? I mean, they put him in that Money in the Bank ladder match that really helped out. They're helping, so now he's getting younger talent over. And the reason I like what he did with Rusev is, and I want people to notice this, when Rusev first started a few months ago, he was winning squash matches in under a minute. Well, that's only going to get you so far. Just ask Bill Goldberg. What they're doing now is they're making him wrestle longer matches against better opponents. So they're grooming him right now to be a bigger, badder guy, a big monster, which I think is the absolute right direction they need to be taking him. And I don't think Rob Van Dam loses anything by, doing the JOB. I really don't. Now, granted, are they going to feed him to Cena? It's pretty much all but certain they're going to feed him to Cena. Maybe he could be a force to be reckoned with. Maybe he could be the dark horse in this year's upcoming Royal Rumble. Dave Kocosports thinks Van Dam needs to retire. He's ruined his legacy by constantly jobbing to mid-carders. Keep looking for your pants, little man. Keep looking for them. But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you got to. This is a criticism I have of so-called, legends. I know we throw that word around loosely, especially in the WWE now. Is you got to bear in mind you have, or actually no, that was Yakuza. Actually, excuse me. What you have to do is you have to get the next generation ready for there to be a business. If you don't have people like Rob Van Dam putting over people like Rusev, you get the same damn problem you've been running into with the WWE right now. Was we keep criticizing, well, they don't push anybody new. They keep pushing the same motherfucking people. They keep pushing Cena. They keep pushing Orton. They keep pushing, Del Rio. They keep pushing Sheamus. Well, why? Because they're not getting anybody ready. Well, if you want there to be a next generation, for there to be, somebody for us to cheer for, and you don't want us to bitch about the D Club anymore, this is how you fucking do it.
Well, all the people that they were pushing have gotten hurt. They've been pushing guys. They've been pushing guys like crazy. They all keep getting hurt.
Well, who has been getting hurt?
Daniel Bryan got hurt. Barrett got hurt. I'm missing people here. Punk was hurt before he left. Let's be honest. He was looking horrible. I mean, it just, you see it. Like, every time they start to push somebody heavy, like, they push them too hard. But it's funny because I don't know if you're familiar with David's mentioned, but, like, I'm a comic book creator. That's what I do for a living. And I was in Miami this past weekend for SuperCon. And I actually sat there for hours talking to Shane Helms and Ted DiBiase when they were down there. And Ted DiBiase. Sorry?
I said, you're name dropping now.
No. I'm saying it for a reason. Ted DiBiase and Shane Helms both said that, I guess, they're telling the guys to lay it in there harder and trying to, basically stick each other a little bit, a little harder, look a little stiff, work a little tighter, look a little stiffer, and guys are getting hurt a lot more. And apparently, like they're saying, this is Triple H's WWE we're seeing right now. We are seeing his WWE. And DiBiase was talking about Cena, and he was saying that they always fall back on Cena because Cena isn't a good wrestler, but he doesn't get hurt very often, and at the very least, he still has star power. And when he said that, it made me think, like, I don't really care for John Cena, but it makes a little sense that, that's why they do that. Shane Helms was talking about, the way the guys are working now. You're seeing a lot more indie stuff leaking into the shows, and I've noticed that, especially on pay-per-views. So, I mean, I can see, like, why it's taking a little bit longer to push guys, but look around. I mean, you got Roman Reigns now, Ambrose, and Seth Rollins, and I'm not going to lie, I really expected when the Shield break up for Rollins to just kind of disappear, Ambrose go down to, like, main event status, like on like Saturday Night main event stuff, and Reigns to get like shoved down our throat, or Reigns get shoved down our throat like they did Cena. It's different. Even the stuff they're doing with Cody Rhodes, the Stardust thing, it's different. It's changing it up. So I think we're seeing more evolution in what they're doing. It's just, I think it's a slower burn. But it's the stupid stuff they do that kind of kills the good momentum that guys are building on their own. Like I said, the whole go back to like the Bray Wyatt John Cena feud, even like the Yes Movement stuff. Like it kind of felt like if that happened because it was forced upon. It wasn't something they just thought of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as people getting hurt, I mean, it's professional wrestling. It's not ballet. I mean, it's going to happen. And I think what the thing is, what WWE's problem is they don't have enough people built up to where, if somebody goes down, you've got to have somebody you could slide into that spot and not have it feel forced, not have it feel contrived, just have it feel somewhat natural, And I think maybe if they'll keep up what they're doing and start building up some of these lower guys, then they're not going to have that problem. I mean, they're starting to do that right now, so it's going to be a long-term project. But speaking of long-term projects, somebody here, he's actually one of our finalists in the top 4 for the Kocosports.com internet title. Make sure you go to that show and get your vote in. Dean Ambrose, one of our finalists, he took on Randy Orton. And this is how much Dean Ambrose has got a hold of me. This is why I love the man. It was like, coming up next, Randy Orton versus Dean Ambrose. Hey! So, watch this match here, and it was absolutely amazing. I mean, they had like one botched spot in there, but who gives a shit? Ambrose is just fucking on fire. I mean, this guy wrestled circles around Randy Orton. He, just out-submitted him, out-crazied him, and it was just, I think it was just an absolutely great match. Ambrose is doing a fine job with his character. Was selling. I mean, he didn't waver one bit, so I think he's able to hold his own. I gotta love the figure 4 leg lock, the submission work, the bouncing off the ropes and coming back with a clothesline, going crazy, just throwing the chairs into the ring. He's just an absolute madman. He even lost. I mean, he lost to Orton, but he didn't look bad in the. He didn't look bad in that effort. I mean. Orton had to catch him with an RKO coming off the ropes and got a quick win. So I think it was overall, it wasn't perfect, but I think it was a great match, and I'm hoping this leads to a pay-per-view match.
This is my question about Ambrose. Did you watch him when he was Moxley? When he was John Moxley?
Yeah, I watched him a little bit as John, not as hardcore as a lot of other people, but I did watch him as John Moxley. I watched him in Dragon Gate USA. One thing that really caught my attention about him early on was just the fact that how he could talk. I mean, he would just be standing out on a balcony, probably like at his apartment or just out in an alley somewhere, and just have a camera and just, I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, he could just start talking and have me convinced that this match whatever match he was doing, it was going to be the most important match ever. He was the craziest, most vicious son of a bitch on the planet. It was great.
Moxley, his character is Dean Ambrose's character now, I see. Like, it's coming out. John Moxley, are you familiar with the Peterson Cup?
I am not.
The year he won the Peterson Cup, he almost caused, like, a riot in there. The Jeff Peterson Cup was a memorial cup they did here in Florida for a wrestler here from Florida named Jeff Peterson, who died of cancer quite a few years ago. FIP used to put it on. and it was a big deal here in Florida. And they ended, I think, at the 10-year mark. And I think Moxley won the 9th one or something like that. But he like cut this promo, and like it was so just, it was very heel. Like it was pretty heat seeking, and he it killed, and everyone in the state was like, that guy's going somewhere, and the next thing you know, he's Dean Ambrose. One of the things about him that I've always loved is he always made you feel like he really was going to kill somebody in the ring. Like he wanted to kill, he wanted to hurt somebody, and that just that mania, as you're saying, like that maniacal thing. And a friend of mine the other day was talking about him at this SuperCon shows. That the guy was talking to me about him, and he compared him to somebody. I can't remember who now. It was oh man, I really don't remember who it was now. It was somebody, and I said that he makes me think of a modern Brian Pillman. Like
Wow.
I really do see a lot of Brian Pillman in it, like the loose cannon stuff. And it just I mean, I think you should keep your eye on him. I think he's going to do some big things. I'm really surprised at how those guys are getting pushed. The Shield guys, I never really expected him and Rollins to get the push they're getting. So.
Whew. So overall, good match. I enjoyed it. Next here, we have another finalist here for the Internet title, Dolph Ziggler. He took on Alberto Del Rio. I honestly just did not like this match. I've seen, aside from the fact that I've already seen it before, it was just too damn distracting. They had Fandango go out there and do commentary, which normally I don't have a problem with. I don't necessarily hate Fandango. The only reason I like him is because my girlfriend fucking hates him. She watches Total Divas. He's on there, and she can't stand him, so that's why I pull for him. Aside from, I mean, I know he was in character, but he was talking too soft. I really couldn't hear a word he was saying, so the whole thing was defeated because he was whispering, and I couldn't hear him over the action. That's what I heard, and it took away, and the match ended because his music hits, and he gets up on the announce table and starts dancing, and that distracts Dolph Ziggler and allows Del Rio to get the kick him in the head and get the pin. So any momentum that Dolph Ziggler got last week is just completely gone. He went back into the job category, and I fucking hate it, especially for someone who's just as talented as him, and especially a fucking piece of shit like Del Rio. Too vicious. Too soon.
I don't know. I think it's funny, like Del Rio. I don't understand the Del Rio thing either. Like there's certain guys, Miz, Swagger, Del Rio, that I saw them push hardcore. It felt like, and I mean, like I said, I wasn't watching nearly as much as I have been lately. But when like Del Rio was champ, but I remember all those guys getting pretty good pushes at one point. So I always catch Mania at least, and I just don't know what's going on with them. Like they're kind of like main event jobbers, and I don't really get it. Like I don't get why those guys ended up in those positions. To re-reference what I was saying about this past weekend, talking to DiBiase, he said that Del Rio intentionally was always created to be a Mexican version of the $1 Million Man. And my thing is that I can see that, but like what happened to that? Like what happened to that story or that character? Like he just automatically went from being a super big baby face against Swagger and Zeb to now he's back to being a heel that no one cares about. Like I just don't know what that is, and it fits into what you were saying, like them not pushing guys continuously. Like they're not constant with their pushing. So Del Rio did a great job as a baby face. Why do we need him as a heel? It doesn't make any sense. We've got plenty of heels right now. The Authority technically should be the biggest heel in the company. Like to have these minor heels out there doesn't make any sense.
And here's another thing. I thought they were teasing it to where, okay, maybe they're going to set up Summer Rae to be with Dolph Ziggler. That way she can get back at Fandango, and maybe it's going to lead to some kind of a mixed tag match. But I think it was just a one-off deal because they did, tease after that match that, he was over there kissing Layla, and there's Summer Rae over there in the corner, and he's still eyeballing her. Maybe he still has feelings for her. Maybe he doesn't. Whatever. So I just kind of hate that they kind of just use Ziggler for cannon fodder like that. But I will say this: last week, yeah, you could tell he was more into it than she.
Yeah, it's funny. That's another person. Ziggler. What happened to him? You know, what happened to his big push?
I don't. You know, he got hurt when he got that concussion. It was just like his career died with that kick to the head. I honestly can't answer that. I don't know what the hell happened. All right. Oh God. Okay. Next year we had Jerry Lawler welcome Bret the Hitman Hart in. Then Damien Sandow came out imitating him. He got punched in the jaw. This led to Sheamus coming out and taking on Damien Sandow in a non-title match. 2.5 minutes later, Sheamus won, and I felt like I had about 10, 15 minutes of my life wasted. I feel like they just trotted out Bret Hart. Hey, kids, it's Bret Hart. Remember him? Yeah, he got screwed here about 15, 20 years ago. I'm serious. That's all they needed to say. Hey, kids, it's Bret Hart. Remember, he got screwed here about 15 years ago.
What? Like, once again, what did that prove? Like, okay, is Bret Hart going to wrestle Damien Sandow at Battleground now?
No, I mean, it was just an excuse to get, for one, they were in Canada, so they felt like they had to, especially it being Montreal, that they had to get Bret Hart there, because that's the building where he got screwed in. And I like that Sandow made fun of it, that he lost to his idol Shawn Michaels in his own submission hold, and he convinced everybody that it was a screw job, and everybody fell for it. So I like that they kind of made fun of that. But I think they could have done it better. I mean, yeah, you could have had Bret Hart clock Sandow and said, you know what, if I was cleared, I would just, I would prove to you on the excellence of execution, and I will be better than you ever will be. And then just said, you know what, but I want could somebody come out here and take care of this guy for me? And then you could still bring out Sheamus, and it would just seem to flow a lot more. And I don't feel like they did that. It felt kind of discombobulated.
I think Bret should have clocked him, the bell should have rung, a ref should have hit the ring, and he should have tapped him out with a sharpshooter. What kind of energy does that take? At least Bret Hart gets his big babyface pop, and then you have Sheamus come out and beat him up anyway. Like, to me, like, that segment had no there's nothing, it meant nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, no, it did mean something. It just meant they get to trot out Bret Hart to prove he's still with the company.
I guess. Like, he's still on payroll.
I think of at this point.
I don't know. He needs to be like managing Natty and the Tyson Kidd guy or something. They tried that already once, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. That didn't work out.
Isn't that the whenever Teddy got fired as well because he's a pain in the ass?
I don't know why they. Yeah, I don't know what. Are you talking about D.H. Smith?
No. He's a cool guy. I know Teddy Hart, and I know Harry.
Oh, no, Teddy Hart. No, they're never gonna hire him because he's fucking batshit, fucking crazy.
Well, they hired him. They had him in the FCW for a little while, and then they fucking let him go because he's an asshole.
Because he was fucking crazy. He never would fucking listen to anybody.
Well, because he's a Hart.
So
that's his argument.
That's his argument. Crazy.
That's his argument. He's a Hart.
All right, let's see here. Next here, let's see. Oh, this was actually a good match. I think this was a good follow-up to last week. Here is Chris Jericho versus The Miz. Both of these guys returned last week. You got Miz playing the bad guy. Hey, I'm the movie star now. I'm better than all of you. Chris Jericho just being fucking Chris Jericho. Pretty good match. It was a little bit shorter than what I thought it should have been. But overall, a good one. I mean, they're working both submissions in there, the figure four. Hey, that was twice in one night. Then, of course, it ends with the Walls of Jericho. Miz taps out rather quickly to that. Looking pretty good. Then the lights go off. Actually, no, do you want to talk about the match first before we talk about the post?
Yeah, I actually, that was one of the few matches of the night I actually really enjoyed. I thought they'd work pretty well together, but I think Miz is underrated as a wrestler. I think that he's got a lot to learn still, and they definitely gave him the torch way too early. But I think that he can go, and I think that him and Jericho prove that they can go. I really do think it's pretty funny to see Miz be I guess you could say a buffer for Jericho to go into a feud with Wyatt. But what I was going to point out is, did you not get a sense of broody kind of darkness from Miz tonight? Didn't he seem a little off? Like in his promo.
The segment seemed off because I thought for sure the whole crowd, especially in Canada, would pop for Chris Jericho. But instead, the whole crowd for a while was kind of dead, and I think somebody kind of realized about 5 minutes into the match, holy shit, Chris Jericho's wrestling in front of us. Yeah, let's go Jericho. The Miz sucks.
Yeah, see, I thought that Miz's promo felt really dark, very kind of broody in a way. Like, it makes me wonder where they're going with that. Is he gonna grow a beard and become a Wyatt?
Oh God, I hope not. No, I think that's going to be the buffer match until I think they're saving Wyatt and Jericho for SummerSlam. Personally, that's what I'm thinking. That's where I'm thinking they're going. This is going to be what they used to get it there. After the match, they did the Wyatt thing, and then he popped up in the rocking chair, was mocking Jericho about returning to save us, but you can't save yourself, and he's going to hold everything against him. And Jericho told him to shut the hell up, and that actions speak louder than words. And then, Jericho was on his way up, but Harper and Rowan were flanked Bray Wyatt, and then they just kind of went to commercial break. And I'm like, okay. I just kind of, if this was like, the way to end Raw or some kind of sitcom where they throw up to be continued, that would have been perfect. But for, like, Raw, it was just like, okay, moving on to the next segment. What? I mean, it's like you cut from the same place where you were, like up the ramp, down to ringside. What the hell? For me, that just didn't work. I think they should have done something else. I mean, I'm not opposed to them doing what they did. I'm just kind of opposed to how they did that. Like, it just kind of felt like this, like, it killed the flow. It's like they just pulled up the emergency brake on that segment by doing that. They were like, okay, you suck. I'm going to go beat your ass. Okay, we'll come up here and do it. All right. Oh, my guys are here. All right, what do we do? What's going to happen? Okay, guys, moving on to the next segment. Whoa, this wasn't even fucking resolved. What the hell? That's the way it came off to me.
Like I said, I don't have as much. It's fucking sad as it is for me to say this. I was more excited for the Bray Cena stuff than they've been making me for the Jericho Cena stuff, or Jericho Wyatt stuff so far. It doesn't have that energy.
All right. Well, any other impressions of it? I mean, I know they're kind of saving this. Yeah, I mean, I honestly think this is something that Bray Wyatt needs, because he needs to be completely built right back up after the fucking debacle with John Cena. John Cena does not have the courage to do the right thing. He didn't put him over at WrestleMania. He got the win at Extreme Rules, but they did everything but drop a fucking truck on Cena to go, okay, he lost, but he didn't really lose because everybody cheated. Everybody really cheated, so he didn't really lose. And then they come up with his last man standing match and just buries them. And it's like, okay, now, good. Okay, John, congratulations. You beat Bray Wyatt. You killed up one of the hottest acts, and what has this accomplished? Because your career really needs advancing. After being on top for a better part of a fucking decade, yeah, your career really needs advancing.
Yeah,
we can't put this fucking kid Wyatt over.
I don't understand that fucking last man standing match ending at all. I was so confused by why that should have been Cena in that box. Like, it made no damn sense at all. But the Super Cena concept for a while annoyed me. I remember, it's a memory lane type thing. I remember a few years ago it was a Royal Rumble that he won. I don't know if you remember I don't remember what year it was if you remember, but I remember it was the first time I watched wrestling in a while, and I remember Cena hit the ring and just started throwing people out. And it was like super fucking Cena. It was like, oh my God, everybody's gone. And I don't understand it. I don't understand the appeal of it. I don't understand anything about him. Like, to me, he's not, like, it's like force feeding you, like, he's going to be Hulk Hogan. He's going to be Hulk Hogan. No, he's not. You're killing him. You're making him have X-Pac heat.
True, and God, it's been a while since someone used the term X-Pac heat, so congratulations, plus 50 points for you, sir. And speaking of confusing things, Next, we had a Divas tag match here. You had Cameron and Naomi, the Funkadactyls, versus AJ Lee and Paige. Now, this match, it was just, God, Martin, where the hell do I start? This was just confusing to me. Okay, you have Cameron and Naomi come out there. Okay, the Funkadactyls, that makes sense. Okay, now you got Paige. Okay, she needs to rebound. And then now they're going to bring out her tag team partner, AJ Lee. What? Huh? And then I was like, wait a minute. I thought they turned Paige heel. Did they change their minds on that? They're going to make her a face. I thought, okay, they're setting it up to where Paige is just going to leave AJ Lee hanging. And no, actually, it was Cameron that left Naomi hanging. She refused to tag in for a big portion of the match. And I'm like, okay, well, again, that kind of makes sense because they've been teasing the breakup here, the Funkadactyls, the tension between Cameron and Naomi. Okay, now, Paige is going to, and then and here's another thing. Cameron, you had one job. You had one fucking job in this match. One. Just one. No. You didn't have to wrestle a whole goddamn match. You let your partner with talent do that shit. And you worked it into the storyline. No, I'm not going to tag in. I'm literally doing my nails. Whatever. And then, when it looks like, the Funkadactyls got the upper hand, Cameron makes the tag, tags herself in, goes in, and all she had to do was take the page turner. That's all she had to do, and she fucked that up. She absolutely fucked that up. Paige gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. Paige, AJ Lee wins. And I'm like, okay, she's going to wait for AJ Lee to turn her back, and then Paige is going to jump her. Paige is going to put her in that submission hold. All right, we're going to dueling submit. And no. They just kind of walked, yeah, we're the winners. And then they walked out. Cameron and Naomi kind of start talking, pushing and shoving.
Did you not feel like they were going to kiss there? Like, didn't that not feel like a Mickey James, Trish Stratus moment?
God,
like, that's what it made me think of. I felt they were going to kiss, the way they were acting. It was horrible acting.
It was horrible, but then they started scrapping, then it turned to a fight. They had to be separated by the official. So, to me, I feel like they could have done that. Okay, I've got mixed emotions. I mean, I felt like they could have done this with the Funkadactyls, with any other two diva tag team, and had that make sense. I wish they wouldn't have done the Nikki Bella, Alicia Fox thing and done the Funkadactyls versus who the fuck's still left? Layla and Sana's not there anymore. Who else is still there? No, not Summer Rae, because that wouldn't make any sense. But hell, it could be Alicia Fox for all I care at this point. Or Emma or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, you could have had that, and that would have made sense. But I'm just and then they're trying, and they didn't explain why Paige, who was completely fucking upset and crying that she lost the Divas title, is now teaming up with AJ Lee. I mean, nothing was explained. Even we can go, hey, I think maybe she's going to use her to kind of get, to find her at a weak point, jump her, and then challenge her for the Divas title. That would make, but just to me, it was just confusing. They took two things that should have been separate and they mashed it together, which made it to me a flustercluck. But Martin, what did you think about it? I mean, did it not make sense to you? Am I alone on this one, or did they connect with something I'm completely missing?
I just don't. Why? Like, once again, like you have this thing, like they had a perfect opportunity to do so many things, and they just keep wasting on stupid, like, filler. It was filler. Like, it's not even, for me, it's not even worth talking. Like, it's the biggest loss of the night for me. Like, I was done. I was like, what is, like, I didn't care. Like, I guess that's it. Like, it was confusing. It was horribly done, and it had no payoff or ending that made any sense to me.
Well, the only payoff was you got to see the meltdown of the Funkadactyls. That was the only payoff there. That's something they had been teasing, so that part made sense. It's just the whole, maybe that's what it was set up to do, is, okay, now what is Paige's game here with AJ? Why is she teaming up with her the week after she beat her and seemingly turned heel? That doesn't make sense. Maybe that's supposed to be there. We ask questions, and they're going to, again, build up for another massive match there at SummerSlam. Well, to me, that's what it was like.
Maybe Paige is going to become, like, some, I don't know. maybe she's gonna like look up to AJ for advice or something. Dude, I literally, I don't care. I
You're just
don't
looking like,
care.
I got nothing, bro. I got nothing.
It just, first of all, I hate Divas wrestling. I hate it. I'd much rather them bring back the women's championship and use good women wrestlers like they used to, and get rid of all the fluff and the diva reality shows and just bullshit. But you know, you gotta have TNA. I get it, but I don't know. Like I'm not a fan of the Divas division. Every good wrestler, they have four that just shouldn't be in there, and it just, I don't care. Like I really don't care. Like you could have had a lot more. A lot of people could have deserved that spot in that on that part of the card than they did. I'll put it that way. I mean, everybody wants a bathroom break match, but we had two of those. So.
All right. Next here we had Cesaro versus Kofi Kingston, a return from last week. To me, here's the thing. I really like this, but to me, it felt like WWE ran out of time. Right? They're like, oh shit, we had the Randy Orton and Dean Ambrose went too long. The Usos versus the Wyatt family went too long. We're short on time. So when we got to the third hour, I felt like they just completely ran out of gas. They were just coasting on fumes because you had like a good match last week. You had a shocking upset, Kofi Kingston. I'm like, okay, they're going to do a return match. That makes sense here. But then they wrapped up this match in under 2 minutes. Cesaro, making fun of, Quebec, whatever. They bring out Kofi. He does a few moves and then rolls up Cesaro for another win. Cesaro gets pissed, and okay, maybe they're trying to. And I like that they're building up Kofi. And another thing I should mention, Cesaro is the third candidate for the internet title. So just saying. He lost again, and I'm like, this would have been fine, but they did it like super quick, and then they brought out Big E to make the save because fuck it, why not? Yes, I know that they did something. I think it was on SmackDown, I believe. Big E made the save on Kingston because apparently they're good friends. Don't ask me where or how that happened, but it happened.
Why do they do that? Why do they pair black guys with black guys? Like all the black guys are just best buddies out of nowhere.
You, sir, are asking a question that is old as time itself.
I feel like it's so racist. It's ridiculous. Why does Kofi's best friend got to be Big E all of a sudden? Why can't Ziggler be Kofi's best friend right now?
That would make sense. I mean, look, just because two people are of the same race doesn't mean that they're going to automatically okay, we need to pair them up. They're both black guys. I mean, hell, you put JBL and Ron Simmons together, and boom, the APA, and that worked out. I think you need to start pairing people. But the thing was, they didn't pair those guys based on race. They paired it based on personality, and I think that's what would have worked. And I think that's what works. Find somebody with a similar personality as Kingston, and then you kind of say, oh, okay, that's why they're friends. That's why they're so. That's what I see. I mean, do you think they're doing this because they're trying to rebuild up Kingston, and Cesaro's so over right now that he can't hurt him by losing to Kingston?
I think it might be a little bit of that. I also think that I don't understand, like, what the fuck happened to Evan Bourne?
Evan Bourne got fired.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, that was a good angle they had going. Then didn't he get, like, in trouble, and then, like, the whole thing with that? But do what?
No, he broke his foot. He left out. Then tried to come back. He tried to come back too soon. I think he wrestled like one match on NXT, and they're like, no, he's got to be on the shelf a little bit longer. And finally, it was just like, you know what? We got to do cost-cutting measures. You're gone. That's all that was. But I mean, do you kind of like the decision? Do you think they're doing this because they want us to want more, and they're saving that for a pay-per-view match coming up at Battleground?
I think that we're going to see that. I think this is the thing. Battleground being in Tampa, like I plan on going. I got tickets for me and my son, and I think the Battleground being in Tampa, I know Kofi's like pretty popular here because of his NXT or his FCW actual run before they changed to NXT when they were located here in Tampa. So I think that has a little bit to do with it, having Kofi on a little higher profile match in a local town. I think that might stand out a little bit. They still play the local crowds. I know they do that. Like some of the booking, if you look at it, matches up to some of the local crowds. But actually, like, I really don't know. Like, I'm hoping that we see more. I actually like Kofi. I think that there are some things he does that I don't like just visually because I'm a fan of good wrestling, and sometimes he does things that just look stupid to me. But for the most part, he's a good worker. He's quick and he's got a lot of skill. But I think him and Cesaro, given time and the ability to build a good match, can be fantastic.
All right. Well, I was kind of wanting a little bit more out of this, more than a 2-minute match. I just felt like for all the bullshit they did backstage, well, they really didn't do all that much backstage. They did longer matches, but when they got to that third hour, it's just like they're like out of energy. They just, the whole flow of the show, all the momentum just fucking died. It's like, come on, hurry up. We just got to get to the end. We got to get through this. And I felt like that really kicked it off. The next part, this made sense why it was short, and I'm glad it was. I think of all the matches that I wanted to be short, this is definitely it. Here you had Bo Dallas versus El Torito. He really played the heel on that one. They teased like the setup with what happened on SmackDown. They saw him being the bully, picking on somebody smaller. He hit him with the running Bulldog, did the victory lap, then knocked over El Torito again, and got the win. So I like that segment. That was fine. That's a segment that definitely needed to be short, and I think a good buffer till you get to the main event.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I still haven't caught on to Bo Dallas yet. I don't really. It doesn't appeal to me. All I ever think about is this is what Bray Wyatt looks like without a beard.
Oh, well, yeah, just say Bo. All right, then we had the main event. You had John Cena versus Seth Rollins in a non-title match. They set this up by saying Seth Rollins said he was going to beat John Cena, then he was going to cash in on him. And here's my thing. If I'm the Money in the Bank title holder match, here's what I do. I challenge him to this kind of match. Then as soon as the match starts, I beat the crap out of him as fast as I can, and then I go get a chair, and I beat the living bejesus out of him. Well, it don't have to be a chair. It could be a kendo stick, baseball bat, pipe, put him through a table, smack him with a ladder, mace him, just something. I mean, fuck him up and get disqualified. And they go, no, I want to cash in my Money in the Bank contract now. That's what I would have done. But they tried to.
So what you're saying is you want to use logic in a John Cena match.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would have done.
That doesn't exist. That's like the kendo stick would have broke on him. The chair would have got snagged on something. John Cena's a Superman. You don't beat John Cena on a Raw. Not for a title.
Yeah, and then they started running interference, which I understands the point here. You don't want to have Seth Rollins lose, and you sure as hell don't want to have your Golden Boy lose. So instead of coming up with some kind of creative finish, they have Kane come in. He causes disqualification. Then Randy Orton comes in. He starts attacking Cena. Then you got a 3-on-1. Then boom, out comes Roman Reigns. Reigns comes in, starts saving the day. And then there's Seth Rollins all alone in there with John Cena, looking like, and clocks him with the briefcase. Then goes, you know what? He's going to cash it in. He's going to cash it in. He finds a referee. He's handing it over. Boom! Here comes Ambrose to make the save. And then John Cena goes into Superman mode, hits AAs for everyone, and he celebrates in the ring with Roman Reigns, and then they go off the air.
That ending was straight out of Vince Russo's WCW Nitros. It was so WCW, but bad WCW. It was like babyface Kevin Nash in the ring with like babyface Jeff Jarrett, and no one gave a fuck.
What I can understand if this was, like the Raw before a pay-per-view. You want to protect everybody and everything, and I know you don't want to give away anything, but I think things could have been done a lot differently, and you could have teased us a little bit more instead of having just the throwaway John Cena can't lose ever. He's going to get there's going to be disqualification before there's a loss, and you can't have Seth Rollins lose because you got to make him look like he's a major threat to getting the WWE title. So, but I just think it was kind of a cop out. It's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Instead of coming up with a creative way to get to the end, instead they just go, well, you know what? We're just going to cause a disqualification. The end.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Like I said, it made me think of Vince Russo's writing. The only thing left was that JR needed to be out there on a pole, and they needed to be wrestling for him. Jim Ross on a pole match. That's what it made me think of.
Hell, I'd actually like to see that. My God, King!
They need to give him a microphone while he's up there, definitely.
Exactly. He can call the match. Oh, he could be like Oklahoma in WCW.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an old reference, plus 50 points for me. All right, real quick here. Overall, I'm not going to say it was a bad show. I mean, there was a lot of good things. If you're going to go back and watch this, kids, I'd say check out the opening match with Usos and the Wyatt family. I would definitely check out Randy Orton versus Dean Ambrose. That was a good match. If you're a huge fan, if you're a super duper fan, I would check out the Bret Hart segment just because it's good to see Bret again. Chris Jericho versus Miz was actually pretty good and passable, especially for the post show. The Divas tag matches hit or miss, and I would even say, you know what, check out the main event, just because I like Seth Rollins, and plus he's on the Screaming Antelopes, my fantasy wrestling team, and so that's what I think. So I'd say check it out if you're a hardcore fan. If you're kind of on the fence, probably not, but it's not a loss. I'm just going to give it a weak win. It's a little bit better than what they're doing. It's hard to top what they did last week. Next week is going to be critical again because now that I kind of see that they've got an idea, they've got a direction, is just can they maintain the course? That's going to be the question going into the next Monday Night Raw. But Martin, your kind of parting thoughts on this?
At this point, I feel like we're reliving angles from the 90s, but just not done as well. The Shield being DX and Seth Rollins being Triple H, turning on DX for the corporation. I really do hope we see more advancement in some of these guys. It really sucks what happened with Daniel Bryan because that was what was really, I felt, keeping between Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt and the Shield. I felt like that was what keeping the WWE alive, and now we have fallen back on the same old shit. And I mean, I hope it continues to progress in some way. Where do I see it going? Honestly, this is in theory. I think we're going to see Roman Reigns as champion soon enough. I feel like Brock Lesnar's got to be mixed up in here somewhere. There's a lot of talk about him at SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken, him and John Cena. So where does that come into play?
I think that's going to come into play at SummerSlam. I think that's what's going to happen. That's going to be the big fallout after Battleground. Lesnar's going to come back and challenge and get his match at the pay-per-view. So that's what I think is going to happen. But that's a different story for a different day. I would like to thank everybody for joining us here. I'd like to thank Yakuza, Wrestling Ranting, Rihanna Jackson, Julie Harrison, Loki is me, Grevin64, Mr. the King, RFW, Forsaken, Jerb Wood, and Johnny McMillan for joining us live. Thank you very, very much. I'm reading all your comments. Great stuff, great stuff. So thank you for tuning in. I'd like to thank the Internet Infantry. Be sure to like and subscribe to us. I'd like to thank, of course, Martin Dunn for joining me here. But most of all, until the next time, I want you guys to join us 24/7 over at Kocosports.com. It's your home for all combat sports. That includes mixed martial arts, boxing, pro wrestling, amateur wrestling, sumo wrestling. If you can get your nose broke doing it, we got you covered. So be sure to check it out, including our new popular news and video on demand section there. A lot of good gems there. So be sure to check it out at Kocosports.com. It's where the world goes to kick ass. So this is Boom Boom for my partner Dave Kokotis and Martin Dunn. And until next time, kiddies, I am over